All right, folks, we are live now. So, hey, folks, thanks for tuning in. It's been a journey since DevSecOps has always been something that everybody wants to evangelize. Everybody wants to say that, there's something beyond what I can reach in security space. Like red team, blue team, you name it, they are still existing. They are still learning about their own organization, the environment which they scan every day. And lot of things change, lot of things come up in all of the sudden. They come and say, you know what, there is a security breach because of an API token which is lying down there in somebody's infrastructure. So a lot of things change, a lot of things will obviously come into consideration. And thanks to Tarun sir, he has, I think probably his journey has been something close to organizing something on Power BI. I think you can see his podcast that I did with him. Amazing podcast. Just go watch it again, Tarun Marwa. It's on my podcast list. It should be around 60. I think it's 60, number 60 K aspas. I don't know about that, but like just go back and let's see that and promise yourself one thing that you always shift left, guard right at any cost. And thank you so much, Tarun sir, for being on the show and
Thank
sharing
you,
your
Vishwas.
insights on Sonarqube.
Yeah. So, of course, thanks for that, Vishwas. So, it's a very interesting topic, and also a part of my journey of DevOps journey. And SonaCube, I heard this term, although it's a very old term, but I heard for the first time almost just above 3 years back when in my past organizations where I have worked, designed actually a build for it was a niche new to me. DevOps journey started with Jenkins. So we have to go through, a banking application where I was working and had to design the pipelines. So then in there, I learned first about the SonarQube, which is also the static code analysis tool for the code and used usually by the developers. And it's just that before push the commit changes to the release pipeline in the build pipeline, you have to make sure your code it's covered with the proper code coverage. It's the what do you mean by SonarQube? It's just a tool that you enable you to that customer. It gives a confidence to the end customer that like how the application is being built. Like they can build a trust. The technical managers and the business leaders would build a trust using when they hear about these tools SonarQube and they see the reports which has been published through this tool. So this tool is a very good one to publish the code coverage which has happened for your code. It gives the end customer or the technical line managers the confidence that how much percentage of code is covered, and it actually is healthy to present in front of the customer in form of a UI. So so that gives the confidence. I would say it's a tool, one of the tool. It's not the end. We have other tools like Jacoco and Corbuchura as well.
Yeah,
But
I think
again,
this is
yeah,
integrated with Jacoco only. This is integrated with Jacoco, right?
yeah,
SonarQube is integrated with Jacoco. Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's
yeah,
great. Organizations evolve. Organization
correct.
really evolve. Like,
Yeah,
like there will be a new intern who can push a wrong set of code and everything can change all of a sudden.
yeah,
Like that's how it is. So let's just start with the questions then.
correct.
So I think even in the podcast you told Kuprichura, Cucumber, Chococo, and everything. I think just go watch his podcast. It's
Yeah,
there.
I've talked about it earlier, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's just stop the journey. Should we actually cover the 100%? Should we really try that 100% coverage? What is it all
So
about when
actually,
we are
this
going to?
question to me is very surprising, Vishwas, to be honest. There's nothing like 100%. So even if your code, I would say, is covered, try to present when I was working actively on SonarQube. Now, these days, I'm not actively working on SonarQube, but see what happens is even if your code coverage is 40%, but the developers try to hide the actual numbers. so that their build passes on, and then they kind of exclude some of the things to go up to 80% or something like that. So this is what used to happen. And so even 40% code coverage is more than sufficient if you're handling it in a proper way, I would suggest. And that's how it is actually. So it's not like we should always have 100% code coverage. And there are couple of links pertaining to it. We never reached 100%. When I was working through Cube, it was like 60%, 60-65% it was hovering over it. And the remaining they used to exclude, like some of the binaries or the isconfig files or the wcf files. They try to exclude these kind of files. So and the other thing is, like when I was in my data engineering journey, where I have to design a pipeline for the data engineering, this thing, the infrastructure. Then I used to exclude the data layer interactions, like how the data used to flow to the data factory, and how it used to go to and flow between the data factory to SQL. Those things we need to exclude from the pipelines. We can always include the SQL backpack files, but those interactions we can't include the data layer, those things. And so that's what it is. So sometimes we have to exclude some of the things. So it is not always 100%. 100% means you are covering the all the things, WCF files, and the executables and all those things. So the couple of links for which that justifies my statement. And it also the same thing which I've been referring to. You can it's actually the myth actually of achieving 100%. So that is one of the excellent link which I can share. This is let me know once it is being shared, I think. Yeah. So this is what I was saying. So it's kind of the myth of 100% code coverage. It is never 100% code. It is like when you say 100%, you developers and managers also always aim for 100%, but it's always not always 100% code. So it has what is the ideal code coverage strategy. So you aim for 100%, but actually it's 80% is the minimum. And then you raise a PR to, if the PR increases code coverage, it must be good. So so that's what it is during the time of PR. Like if you have 100%, it's good, but that's what it's the figure 80 also. Here it's kind of it's a custom value. It all depends upon your interaction with the technical managers and the business leaders, or or the project leaders, who are, or the CTOs, who are agreeing on what kind of there is a actually this depends on the decision of the developers, like what they want to choose a threshold. It could be 60, it could be 80. So that's also random value. It's not the there's no baseline that you should idle values don't exist actually when you start implementing the code coverage. So it's not always 100%. And for example, this is one of the program for Python. They have showed, for example, obviously for this one you will always achieve 100% code coverage. So how you calculate code coverage? Code coverage is how many lines of unit code you have, and divided by the number of lines of code you are having into 100. So it's not always like when you interact, build your code, every line of every module of your code don't didn't have to be tested, right? It we can exclude some part of the code. It is not always we have to do that. We can exclude that one actually using the unit test cases. So that's what, when you see the word exclude, you can't achieve, when you're excluding something, you can't achieve 100% code coverage. So that's how you calculate the code coverage percentage. And I think it's very, very well presented within this particular article on the formula also, how you calculate the code coverage percentage wise. So yeah, this is just hold on. So this is the the actuals of how you calculate the code coverage, and the myth actually, but there doesn't exist a 100% one. Yeah. That's my experience on the 100% code coverage, Vishwas, so far.
Yeah, there is nothing called as 100% code coverage in that system,
Yeah.
which is like, sorry for that. In that, I think probably 100 plus microservices which are like dangling without being the build past. That's how it is, right? It's never about like how much is being covered. It's also about like how much is being effectively used in the entire development space. I feel that like there are companies which are like 80 plus microservices, and I feel like why is there a requirement for 80 plus microservices once you just can need a form and this and that? Like it's the requirement. Sometimes it changes, sometimes it's architected bad and things like that. So what about targets? How can an Android developer leverage SonarQube? Continuous code quality reviews using SonarQube. So how can an Android person leverage SonarQube today? Like how can he make the best use of it?
Um, uh, so when you say a very new person, like anyone not from a development background, he can start exploring about the Sonar Cube and doing some of the practicals using Sonar Cube. So Sonar Cube is also available in Sonar Cloud as well. So Sonar Cube is the on-premise version where you can install on-premise servers, as well as the cloud version is Sonar Cloud. So obviously Sonar Cloud is more expensive, and it is it's the it costs actually more. But when it comes Sonak, when you talks about learning, right, you can always run an implementation using when from obviously when speaking from the DevOps Azure DevOps perspective, there are quite interesting labs which you can experiment with using Sonar Cube. So there are labs. So see, the build which I was working was Sonar Cube with which I have worked is Azure DevOps Sonar Cube with Maven build pipelines with Jenkins, because it has the Java code as well. Along with for the Android builds which I have worked, right, it has Java code as well. So basically you can start working with some of the experimental blogs you on how you can integrate the Azure DevOps, the tools. And there is a very interesting lab to do when you actually do a let me just go through. But before that, the only the Zist or Bible or the Gita for SonarCube is the docs.sonarcube, where you can start exploring how to create the about the Sonar profiles, quality gates, and quality profiles. So you can just go through those ones to understand. You're completely new to this journey. Like obviously, all of you won't be from the development background. It depends which background you're coming from, but it's easy. I would still say if you are from development background, it's easy to understand Sonar Cube and create the quality profiles. For the persons like me from the operations background, it's very difficult sometimes to understand what Sonar Cube was in the initial phases. But from the development point of view, because they know their code better. From a development perspective, they know their code better and what needs to be covered and what not. But when you are again when you're coming from a different background, which is not into you are not into code development, then there are some of the things which you need to explore, learn about SonarQube from the official websites, and about the different integrations. So this is the link I think which I've given is for the Azure DevOps integration. But the links, the things which I have explored with Jenkins, that was with Jenkins actually. SonarQube for never build pipelines for Jenkins. So that's what uh, I have covered for with the integration with Jenkins is slightly different. So you can explore that one as well. So my core implementation was on Jenkins and not. I haven't worked practically on the production environment for integration on DevOps, Azure DevOps, but with Jenkins, see, it's your choice. You can select any tool for this thing. It can be Jenkins or it could be Azure DevOps, but it all depends which particular background you want to learn from. And when you see, because as of now I'm actually working on Azure DevOps, so there are labs actually which are available for the Sonar Cube. And yes, those are the labs which you can Let me, yeah, this is the very interesting article. I can also probably share my screen to represent this
Sure, sure.
particular lab where you can start your journey for a newbie as well. So this is when you can start and see why I'm asking for this particular thing, right? It is easy to understand. This is the GitHub repository which you can refer to. Again, it is written by the different folks from India. So this is they are developing one application, and this is the container instance. They are scanning the images under it, and then this is how they are creating the profiles, administration, and they are entering the project which we need to create. Step by step procedure is there to get you hands on the bugs, how you can trace the bugs and then integrate in your Azure DevOps pipelines. This is the DevOps Azure DevOps implementation. And then when it comes to the pipeline, this is how you publish the in the build pipeline. You prepare an Azure Sonarqube using a Maven build and then publish this quality gates results. So this is how with the extensions, but this is the extension which you need to install, which is called Sonarqube Extensions. So this is how the reports will look like when you run your the when the build is finally published. This is how your Sonarqube report will look like, and then this is how the bugs and vulnerabilities will be detected, and how it will be, and based on that, then you can see. You are also seeing the code smells and all these things, bugs, vulnerabilities. This vulnerabilities is same like uh, anything which you need to remove, a stationary warning which you need to remove where potential risk for the viruses, which you this detect all these things. Bugs are like bugs are the things which are stopping one code to be executed. It could be in DLL files or anything. Those are the kind of the bugs. And then there is a profile, different profile, which is called code smells. I haven't worked most on the more on the code smells, but this is what the code smells could be, potential warnings that can be converted to in the future to the vulnerabilities or the bugs which are preventing the application to proceed further to the release stage. So this is the one thing which you can prevent it. See, some developers, what they do is they try to bypass these ones and somehow they pass their build pipelines so that they don't interrupt in the release this thing the, with the release dates. So this is the end-to-end description of what you want to achieve. So there, and this is the link which I have pinned, and this is for the GitHub repository which you can follow and learn along while you learn and do. So this is how you can learn more easily when you are getting started with the. So one more thing, SonarQube, when you say it's managing the technical debt. Technical debt is what? Technical debts are a set of problems in development effort that make forward progress on customer value inefficient. Means technical set. It's a kind of so what is SonarQube offering us? It's offering us the advantage of managing the technical debt. So that's what I have described just now. So you can just refer to it. So try to understand what is technical debt. So it's trying to manage the technical debt using SonarQube. That's what SonarQube is meant for, to resolve the technical debts. So yeah, it has a capability to detect bugs, code smells, and vulnerabilities, and then this quality profiles. So this is how we can get started with some of the and yeah, some of the tools. And if you see the official website here, this is the Jenkins one, and you can go for the Azure DevOps and the different version of the compatibility. TFS repository also it covers, and then a lot of things related to Jenkins as well. So it depends which particular tool you choose, and then you can configure that one. So in the pipeline. So later, let me also try to show you as in the forthcoming, as we go along. I will also show what kind of things which we need to configure while, because I have deployed in Jenkins, so I can show that as well. A little context, yeah. So that's how you start your journey with the SonarQube. Yeah,
That's true, because a lot of times I feel that there is a new challenge that always comes in SDLC.
Mm,
So
yeah.
it's all continuous. When I think John also, I can just share my screen for a while. I think it's one of the talks that happened between behind. I think it's. I'm sharing my screen. That's awesome. So John Alspa, I think he was in Flickr. Yeah, wait. Let's see.
Okay.
John Alspa, Flickr, 10 plus deploys a day. I think Alspa. Yeah, yeah. 10 plus deploys per day. I'm not
How many
joking. Maybe
deploys?
10 plus deploys per day.
Okay.
I'm saying 10 plus deploys per day. I think you guys need to go
That's
back
an
and check
interesting
this.
one. Yeah.
Like, this is a talk which actually changed the way I am thinking about anything cloud, anything data today. Because that's a system which actually gets around, like, I can say something like, you can say like 20,000 plus uploads and down 20,000 plus uploads or anything like that. That was the age where internet was something like, okay, we have internet, we are rich enough to get ourselves a new Ferrari or something. So that's the age which I'm talking about, and I'm talking 10 plus deploys per day, getting into the velocity, getting into the people. And also, there is one Netflix talk that happened. It's not Netflix talk, it's like Netflix microservices. Yeah. I think in that talk, he talks in terms of, yeah, mastering chaos. Yes, this is the one. I think anybody should try watching this again because I
Yeah, even
feel
I
that,
will watch this one. Yeah.
yeah,
That's an
he
interesting one.
starts in a biology paradigm and now goes back to the microservices, and he sees how Netflix actually evolved. I think that's a challenging one. That's a
Yeah.
challenging one because thinking about something, a tool like Zool or anything coming up, and now companies are coming up with their own tools. So continuous integration. So I wanted to ask you regarding this continuous integration and continuous testing. So, what is it all about when we are doing the continuous quality reviews using the Sonarqube? How is the world leveraging the code coverage in the SDLC? By this means, I'm asking you, how is that continuous at the end of the day? So, how is it more effective in our SDLC lifecycle that we are defining?
When you say on the SDLC lifecycle, code reviews generally happen with the tools like the SonarQube. When you develop mobile applications, complexity start increasing. So that is what I'm speaking just about my experience on the mobile built application. So from a Android and from an Android perspective, when you're developing an application for the Android or the iOS builds, because most of my talks on this topic would based on that particular module which I've worked in my career as of now, current date. So when you are developing the mobile applications, complexity increases, like you have to test different frames, different piece of code, and and then SonarQube is the open source platform for continuous inspection of the code quality. It gives you the continuous feedback, how your code is behaving, and like as of now, it supports more than 25 languages, including the Java and .NET popular languages, including the Android and iOS builds. So, but what SonarQube, why it's a great platform is like it will help you to monitor not only your the code smells, technical depths, and all those things. It help you to manage your code complexity and create a code complexity which you already I shared screen. So the coding standards which you need to follow, and then the custom matrices which you can integrate with your quality profiles. Quality profiles, again, when it comes to quality profiles, it is either the DevOps guy who is doing, or the development team who decides the code quality profile, like 80%, 60%. So try to understand there is a difference between the code quality profile and the code coverage percentage. These are not the same thing. So try we just get the difference between all these two terminologies. So when it comes to the SonarQube quality, and in the SDL life cycle, it scans when it comes to the let me display with a particular picture of SDLC and how come we have SonarQube in Sonarqube SDLC, which is also called SaaS testing, which you are referring to, Vishwas.
Yeah,
So, so code
secure application
security and for
security
the
testing.
developers. Yeah, let me again kind of, because very good example is shown. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any article based in the SaaS one which you were referring to. I tried to search that one. So let me again share my screen and show that one. So
Yeah,
that's the best example which I think we can give here, and the SAST this thing. So yeah, so this is what the SAST looks like. So it's called static application security testing. So it gives the early feedback and empower for the empowered developers. So take ownership, ID integration, quality gates, keep it safe. So this was there pretty much previously also, but this with the advent of this is like, I think you can explain more on this area than me, because I have been just exploring, and heard this term when I was just taking have a conversation with you of late. But yes, this is again the platform to test your application, security testing, which you can integrate in your DevSecOps pipeline, and where you can see all the popular tools like Eclipse, Visual Studio Code, Eclipse, Visual Studio Code, and a lot of other things are also there. So, like ID integration when it comes to Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio, and then the CLI version, then the Eclipse where Java code runs. So it's pretty much integrated with all the ID integration. So that's what it's a model which is you're going to download and see how it looks like. So again, it's like it's the Sonarqube version which has been downloading. But this is like you can also refer to the getting started on the Sonarqube, and this is just a extension, and this is just a module which is being designed for the application security testing. So it's not always the code coverage which Sonarqube does. It is helpful in, because it is detecting your vulnerabilities in the code. It is helpful for detecting the potential loopholes in the application. So that is where DevSecOps come into the picture. So Sonarqube also is not only a code analysis tool, it's or static code analysis tool. It has become more uh, advanced in terms of securing our pipelines as well, detecting the vulnerabilities. So it help you kind of designing the loopholes in the systems. So in the quality with the quality gates, again it's up to you how you decide your coverage. But again, it depends on how your development teams tells how soon their things should be, what is vulnerable and what is not. Then if it from the security point of view, you also have to coordinate with the teams, the different teams, development teams, that this is vulnerable to the application or infrastructure that could cause a potential cybersecurity risk at a later security risk at a later point in time. So that's what the how you define in the quality gates. And that's what when you deploy these things, you get this kind of screen where you it gives you the clear picture of the open bugs, blockers, vulnerabilities, and assessments, and the code change and the code reviews. So this is how it also looks like. And again, this is not so OSAP when you come, right. OSAP again is a you can learn more about it. It's about the it's a platform, I would say. It's a security standard. We have ISO standards. So OSAP is a security standard which we have to comply to. Correct me, which was if I'm wrong anywhere. But yes, this is how you can explore on this SaaS testing, which we were discussing just a while back. So I think yes, SaaS testing always it is important. And yeah, your views, which was on this one. Yeah.
yeah. My views are something like every organization has its own touch for it. Like I'm not joking. Like uh, think about something called as Flutter. Flutter has its own testable capabilities, right? It's a language called as Dart. Nobody knows what is vulnerable there yet, but even today there are uh, issues raised in the GitHub saying that this is what we have in the Dart. This is going to be an error there. This is going to be something that we need to fix in and everything. I feel that somewhere down the line, it's not about the SaaS testing. It's also about like Can we keep it zero secrets compromised? It's something as good as that. Because once I just push something as a code to a GitHub, the
Mhm.
as long as it's an public repository, AWS keeps scanning for all these credentials out there, and now everything comes into the picture. So I wanted to know, like, how was that initial days of testing journey that you had? Like earlier, DevOps role was sysadmin role. It was never called
Yeah, it's a
DevOps.
sysadmin, correct. Yeah,
It is sysadmin role. So how
yeah.
was those days? How are those days defined in terms of like the testing practices and all the things that we are talking today with respect to what is getting evolved in the present days practices? So how was those days when you were starting the testing analysis and all these things, and how did these tools come and change the way which we are testing today?
It all started with the manual testing, with testing some scripts to execute. Some pre-written tests were conducted. From when I have seen DevOps, although I was not in during my system administration days, I was not that my startup organization where I have worked. It didn't has any kind of testings. It was all performed the backend. But yes, those were the days when we were having in fact the testing in the my first organization was totally product based one again that has the custom images built on the embedded C++ programming. So they were also doing testing, manual testing. They used to have a separate server for test environment. Then they used to build test cases around the embedded C++ application or application where they used to build the custom images for the cloud for computing using some of the custom application and designing a PC which was in fact affordable to the people in 5 6 thousand. Our entire PC they can in the remote villages they can learn about the technology using those. It was a small based application hosted on a cloud where they used to only pay for the subscription which we used to offer them, and then there were customized application built on top of the Linux embedded image. And for testing those modules, we used to have a isolate test environment, and we as far as I remember, we were using the tools like I think we were using that tool is there where we use the browser based testing as well as the those days were like we were using. I think there was a tool which I can't remember now. I think it's I think still it's a popular one. I would say I think it's SonarQube. Just before to SonarQube, there's a tool where it's come the web-based testing is there, and it automatically integrates those things. So I think web-based tool. I think just hold on, I can get that one. So web-based tool tester. I think it was for testing. It was the platform. I think. So just hold on. I think it was it to
I'm also
if you
just
remember.
searching.
Oh yeah, I'm just searching. I can't recollect the tool.
Is it
Just hold on.
NetSparker, or else
No.
QSpider? QSpider is also there. Selenium.
Okay. Yeah, Selenium. Selenium was a tool, and we used to use that tool for for the web-based browser testing as well as for the
It's
uh,
actually kind of an automation tool, even to like
yeah, it's
it's
a
a
kind of
go-to.
automation. To start with, we started, and even the organization started using this tool during those days, and still it is used. Like it's now has become automated tool, but Selenium had its own flavors actually. It was like when Selenium was introduced, it was not entirely automated testing. It was we had different kind of modules inside inside the Selenium which were used when we you go to the history of Selenium and see how it started. It had basically the Selenium core, Selenium RC, WebDriver, Grid, and IDE. So when you talk about the previous version of Selenium, which is Selenium Core and RC, like which are I think if you see the Selenium versions, as of now, I could say Selenium RC is not there. Previously, this was used. These are some of the modules which were used as part of is what it is one of the module. It was used for the testing of the QA developer framework to write test cases manually in order to automate the UI test cases for web applications. So this is like some of the these are the web drivers, some of the components of the Selenium which we were using during those days, and it was all manual one. It was not the automated testing which were being performed when we talk about the ease was not that one to integrate with the extensions were not there to integrate with the things, but still Jenkins was still there during those days when we used to integrate some of the Selenium extensions with the Jenkins. But yes, it was all very manual testings which were performed using the tools, like there were other tools as well apart from Selenium. So which I think manual testing code tools which were used, testing tools. I think some of the tools were like I think Jira is what I have used, but that was used for the task tracking. But again, it has been used for the web security testing as well. And JMeter is also like last 3 years back I've used that tool to JMeter. Just explore that one tool for your the testings. So these are the couple of tools I can name. One is the Jira, and then I think JMeter. I think and then other thing was
Jasmine is
Selenium.
also there. Yeah, I think
Jasmine. Okay.
Jasmine is also good. Like, yeah, I
Okay.
worked
I have
on
not heard
Jasmine
about it.
for. Yeah,
Okay.
Jasmine is good. Like it's all about testing whether you are authorized and authenticated to even search into that kind of an scenario. So
Okay,
now my
I
question.
didn't find, yeah, I didn't find that one. So yeah, it's a new to me as well. I will search about this one.
Yeah, yeah, sure, sure. So now my question is all about like there are very bad practices that goes behind the DevSecOps taken into consideration. We scan, we check vulnerabilities without seeing the code. So how are we able to even like think about scanning the code and also get the best practices for the DevSecOps? Like, what do you think that a developer should know when he owns the security? This is my last question because a lot of things revolves around this question that I'm asking today.
Okay. So when you where this the question which if I can get is, I think how the DevOps practices evolving when we consider to check the vulnerabilities, right? Without actually seeing the code. That's what I think your question, to rephrase your question, right? This is what you are asking, correct? If I'm not wrong.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the truth.
So, because I need to get the question first, so that to answer that one. So, I think DevSecOps is just the recent buzzword which has just started. Couple of, I think half a decade back, I would say. Prior to that, it was all related to the vulnerabilities and the bugs and the issues, the troubleshootings, the terminologies which were used. But I think without seeing the code. Uh, so I think DevSecOps is saying covering a lot of groundwork which we had to do in the earlier days, like in terms of scanning the vulnerabilities. There were no much tools available now, but now with the SaaS technology, the static application security testing, is changing the way you monitor and audit your security logs, and with the tools like Splunk. Also, this is one of the tools which have been introduced to for the security scanning of your environment, not only of your application but also of the infrastructure. So this is of recent tool which I have used, Splunk, for auditing the logs for the users logs for when they are logging to the servers and IS servers on those things. So this is where when it comes to how the DevOps practices are taking place right now. So to begin your DevSecOps journey in the So how you do is you integrate kind of the culture of automation and platform design. And it when it this is there is a very good I think there is a very good image which I found on the internet, which can show what I wanted to actually show. But
SDLC.
securing DevOps tool chain. So building a DevSecOps program and what kind of, but again, this is not a very good picture. Well, it displays. Let me go to take a closer look at this image. So this is where I was referring to, where it. I think it's in there in the, but yeah, it's in the Sans community. The Sans community, which is the security de facto security standard for any DevSecOps. This thing. So let me try to show the picture again. I think it's will be on. The whole picture is on. I think. Let me share the screen first. I don't know because the image quality is not so good, but of the image which has been shared on the internet. But let me show that one. So let me know it's if it's visible still.
I
Um,
think you need to zoom a little bit. I think Sans, I think, man, I think you can just download it, zoom it up.
just hold on. Yeah, I'm trying to do that one.
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. I think this is a new laptop.
Correct. Actually, it's a new one. It's a new laptop. Yeah, I've just had this a couple of weeks back.
Oh man, wait. I think this is good, but like, I think probably I can do a sketch out of this, but like, I don't know. I don't have to have a copyright from them. But like, I think these are communicating with respect to the best practices, right? I think Sans AppSec, right? Wait, I'll just go to the
Yeah.
Sans AppSec.
Yeah, Sans AppSec, you can go to this site. I was just happened to explore this one, and if you get a clear picture, right, it will be good actually to show something in here to actually show
Man.
how this has been designed to. I think this is one of the Twittery images which I have shared on the Dev Ops
I think you
toolchain.
can click on that. I can you can click on that. You can print today or something. I think this is probably an huge image. Okay.
I think
Probably
they
it's
have
a huge
hidden.
image.
Yeah,
They've hidden it or something. Like we don't know about that. But like Philby Sans is an amazing institution, by the way. Like you can't mess out with Sans because I'll see you why. Because Sans might take too much of money in terms of your courses, but like Sans is an amazing institute. Oh yeah,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think this
So
is the
this is
article, folks. I think this article I'll just share it in the comment section here, so you guys can
yeah.
just check that one out. This is the link. I think I'll be going to my LinkedIn and I'll be posting it there. And there is a lot. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to unlearn. There's a lot to relearn. So yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
correct.
what do you think? What do you think a developer should know today? Like, with respect to the security aspects.
They should try to understand the first of all, I would say the seriousness on the need actually to invest in the security, because developers, it's very hard to convince a developer to actually what I have faced in my career to convey about the security things, like to explain the the gravity of the the code smells or the vulnerabilities potential threats that can lead to the loophole in the application for in terms of security. It's because they don't consider, so two things are there: application monitoring, application monitoring and infrastructure monitoring. So what happens is, with application monitoring, sometimes they are good or reluctant, but sometimes they don't overlook because they only do Sonarqube and say that's it. There is no need to implement any other tool, but that's not the case. You need to implement the scanning of the images also, like container image scanning is also there. And there's with the tools like we have a lot number of tools, I think, which we will talk in subsequent sessions to scan the container images. So the gravity is very
I think we
is
are doing
getting
one build by
to.
show. We are
Yeah,
doing one build by show, by the
I
way.
think that's on
So it's
6th
on
August.
the
Yeah, yeah,
6th August, yeah.
yeah. So there we will see and talk about how we will go about scanning those things. And because this I have faced my current experience, like usually don't care about on all these the security testings, the vulnerabilities, the base image scanning of the images which is built on top of which they will deploy the application, running actually the application, but they don't realize those things. I think this is, you know, we as a DevSecOps guy or security guy, you need to convince and often talk to your developers through a continuous feedback mechanism. To You need to get you know current DevOps SecOps practices and convince the developers to invest both are important, the application testing as well as the security testing as well as the infrastructure testing, the security testing, where you expose the ports and all those things, network loopholes. And then when it comes to application, it's the bugs and all those things, the base image updates which they are often try to ignore things. This is what my practical experience says, Vishwas, for now. Yeah, that's what I'm still feeling challenges in convincing the development folks. So yeah, so that's what
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
that's the truth. Like I was a rookie developer back then. Like I think about myself, like I'm like, should I really do it? Should I really not do it? Like, that's an age, where adrenaline is lot. Once you hit by some sort of an comet or some sort of an monsters who are there in the industry, you feel like lot to learn. So let's do it.
Yeah,
So that's how
that's
it is.
what
That's how it
it
is.
happens.
I think the
Yeah,
talks that we share today is probably the golden standard. Like every DevOps talks actually goes behind this kind of a preparation. Like the amount of preparation, the amount of insights that goes behind building such kind of talks. I think best way, write a CFP, go to a conference, present a
yeah,
presentation, go do
that's
whatever
right.
you want with it. That's how it
Yeah,
is. And another round of announcement. Sorry for that, folks. I am not a rookie developer, but yeah, like to some extent, I am supposed to do that because we have an amazing show coming up on LinkedIn and YouTube. That's our Build Piper show. Like we are coming up with one of the best practices that you can really do is come to us every 3 week once, every 4 week once. There is some of the other show which is coming up from the Build Piper where we are talking with respect to the amount of insights that you can get with respect to the microservices world. You have to go
yeah,
behind all that thing because a lot of times you forget to educate yourself. Like that's what I feel about myself. Like I've forgotten to educate myself. Like a lot of times I've forgotten to educate myself. So if you go back here, click on to the link, what you can see here is on Saturday, August 6th at 8 p.m. We are hosting a best practices of uh, DevOps and actually container scanning. Actually, you can just think about that, and you will be learning a lot. So do
yeah.
register for this event because lot of things, lot of insights. By the way, lot of insights are going to be shared there. A lot of people are getting a chance to learn. I think you also get a chance to
Wow,
learn
35
something new.
attendees so far. Good to see
Yeah,
the
like
numbers. Yeah,
yeah, like that's how it is. Like like we did one event like till evening it was around 50 or something. All of a sudden it's 120. I was like, where did the people come up? I was shocked on that day. I think it was on
okay,
Reactor only. So yeah, like we went there, we did it. I think great going, folks. So just be part of this community hustle that we are doing. Like, every week we are learning something new. Like he said me, like let's do it because I'm learning something new every week. So I'm like
correct.
glad that I'm getting so many guests on the show. Like yesterday it was Nilesh Shinde. I think next week I'm calling some more folks as well. So they'll be coming out there. They'll be sharing some more insights on different subjects. So this will live stream on 3 platforms, by the way: LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Twitch, not Twitter. I've left
Okay.
Twitter for a while because nobody cares about the video content in the Twitter. So I'm
Correct,
not.
actually. I have also tried it. I didn't find it. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't find it that insightful. So yeah, Adios, guys. Let's keep learning. Let's keep hustling. Let's build some microservices. Let's secure some microservices with a lot of security practices. And I think good night. Just have a good night's sleep. It's Monday blues tomorrow, folks. So let's work on it. So we are ending the broadcast, folks. Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.